Today from Michigan Department of Transportation and the Jackson Transportation Service Center Manager, Kelby Wallace. Hey Kelby, welcome back.
Good afternoon, Bart. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Real good.
Good.
Real good.
Well, we were talking before the show about the super hot weather this week, and at least it's dry.
Right. May has been extremely dry. If anybody's been watching the news, I watch the news in the morning, and we're way below normal. That has allowed several of our projects to make really good progress on I-94 and other locations. So it's been a help.
All right, so it's really the peak of the construction season. It's here, and we've got a few things we want to talk about. Let's start with the railroad bridges downtown. You brought some progress photos from the drone.
Yeah, we got quite a few photos. So this is kind of an overhead picture at Mechanic Street there. That's the Mechanic Street Old Bridge, and it's kind of just showing you the existing traffic signal at Mechanic in Louis Glick. And there's another view showing those two railroad tracks on top that right now the track on the left side of the screen is actually active. The track on the right side of the screen where they're working is not active. And so that's kind of how we've had to approach this whole project, is we have to keep one of those tracks in active to allow trains on it, and then we work kind of on the opposite side. Right here, just kind of some of the forming that has to go up before we can pour concrete. The green steel reinforcement that goes into the concrete. This is actually for the wall itself that is going to stand up and retain earth and hold that track in place once we put in the new bridge there. And this is kind of a picture after it's been poured. You see that concrete footing. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know, it's 15 inches thick there. And it has our green reinforcement steel. It's epoxy coated steel to make it last longer so it doesn't rust. But it'll go up into the next concrete pour when we pour the wall there. Again, that's at Mechanic Street.
It's amazing these bridges stayed standing. They look like they are pretty decrepit.
Yeah, so this is an interesting picture. I thought you see the steel columns there, and then you can see the excavation we've done around it, and we've drilled into the ground to reach bedrock. And we have to work underneath that existing bridge there to keep it in service. So I thought it was kind of an interesting picture to show how difficult that's been, and thus why it's taken so long. I know it's longer than anybody wanted, but it's not like a clean slate out there. You kind of got to keep the train tracks moving, and we've got lots going on. Interesting picture. They're starting to do some rail work on the rail lines themselves. They're going to be raised up for the new bridges, and this is a modified piece of equipment that's got these little rail wheels on it, and they use that to lift up the rail that we're adjusting up. And then near Jackson Street, so those are the two new massive beams that are going to be put together in this parking lot right next to the existing bridge and the train tracks. They're going to put that all together, and they're going to swing that into place, not swing it, but actually move it with a motorized transport. Right now that's scheduled kind of either the first or second week in August. We're going to do that, and we'll shut both tracks down for about a 5-day period and replace both bridges, and then get one of those tracks back open. And this is back to Mechanic Street, one of those kind of retaining walls that has been poured, and we've got that decorative stone treatment down there that is on the forms after it's poured in concrete. So I'm just kind of focusing on this project a little bit more this time.
Can you go back to that last photo, guys? This railing, which looks like a railing, and it's on both Mechanic Street and Jackson Street. It actually looks like it's a railing of a stairway and a ramp, but that's not what it is. No,
it's kind of more, I think, for future times when they need to work on that bridge or inspect it, or up on the rail tracks up top. So no stairway really associated with that.
No,
but I think it's kind of the angle of the picture. Yeah.
No, people will not be getting on the train there. You mentioned the tracks will actually be raised. How much and how do they do that?
So you can see here we actually started to begin that removal process. This is at Blackstone, which is a little bit further west than Mechanic and Jackson. So then your next bridge is Jackson. We're going to be able to raise that by lifting up the track starting here at Blackstone I believe Jackson Street's going to be raised up by about 2 feet
Oh,
higher
wow.
than existing. Once we get to Mechanic, because the tracks are now coming back down to the at-grade crossing over at MLK and Cooper back to the train station, we can only raise Mechanic, I think, about 6 inches.
Mm. So will a passenger on a train feel that change?
Not really. The standards for that slope and hills are very, very flat on a train. Not like a road where you can kind of have some curves in it. A train is much more precise.
So it's a much
more gradual increase, yes. And then here's some of these pieces of concrete that are going to be moved into place for the Jackson Street Bridge. They'll actually be setting some of those beams we saw earlier on the slots on that picture that we have right there. So they're going to kind of put together a kind of a puzzle that weekend, and like a 3D, puzzle of precast concrete and steel beams. They're all put that together in that 5-day.
I don't know how you're doing it, but you ought to send this into Engineering Marvels.
It's a very complicated project, absolutely. It's not many across the state have done like this. We've done about 2 or 3 across the state like this, so this is very unique.
Now with Mechanic Street tracks being 6 inches higher, and then Jackson Street a little bit more, will the clearance under the bridge be more than it is now?
Yeah, and that's about what the clearances will increase. So at Jackson, it's going to increase about 2 feet. At Mechanic, it's going to increase only about 6 inches.
It's been surprising to me the number of trucks that have gotten caught under both those bridges.
Right.
And I've driven a box truck where you're sitting up high, and as you're approaching you think you're going to hit it anyway.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine. I don't know how people do that. But is there going to be anything before those bridges that will be any kind of like a fast food drive-through? They've got some warning things that you can't go under the canopy. There's like a bar that stops them before they tear the roof off.
Yeah, so we're going to have some typical warning signs, but on Mechanic, since you could have those tall trucks approaching from any direction, if we tried to put that mechanism in there over the lanes, then trucks that are normal sized actually might hit those, and so we actually can't do that in all of the directions that people actually use that.
Because right now, or in the past, you could turn, as you're heading west on Glick, you could turn right onto the Mechanic.
Right.
Will the trucks still be able to do that?
Yes.
They will?
Yep.
Okay. They'll just have to heed the warnings.
Yes.
What day do you think will be the first day a truck gets caught under one of those bridges?
Probably under Mechanic, reasonably soon after it opens.
Yeah.
We kind of built the bridges to be ready for an impact like that, and they're kind of over-designed so that they aren't damaged when something like that happens.
Yeah, let's hope nothing like that happens. Yeah. All right, now before we get to the, you've got an open house coming up later, but let's go out to 94. We don't have any 94 pictures right now, but you've got a lot going on all along. There's the two 94 projects going on.
Yeah, so the one that we're probably most familiar talking about is the one in Jackson. So we actually started kind of our final phases out there. We actually are closing down Seymour Road tomorrow to help us rebuild that kind of front of all the auto dealers that are over there off of Seymour Road. Folks will be able to get to them using Elm to O'Leary to Seymour, so the access will still be maintained. But for about 2 weeks, we're going to close it down and rebuild that roadway. And then probably about mid-June, we're actually going to switch traffic back. Right now we've got both directions on the eastbound roadway. We're going to put the westbound back on westbound, and we'll be able to open the exit ramp to Elm and the entrance ramp to Elm, so for westbound I-94. So that's kind of a major event that all the concrete is poured and now open back to traffic. And then we'll be left with just kind of rebuilding that concrete in the middle of the freeway that protects each direction, and we'll be putting up the lighting in that area. But that's kind of the final major phase to what's going on out there.
And so with the Elm Road interchange opening, there will be 3 roundabouts?
Yes. Yep, all those roundabouts will be fully open. Right now they're all open, but the exit ramp is closed off to get to that. But yeah, so that's a major thing, and that's within about 2 weeks. All that's going to happen.
So that seems like one of the last major things of this whole project to finish.
That's absolutely true. We are doing some asphalt resurfacing on 127 right now as part of this project from Springport to Parnell, but that again is on about a 2 to 3 week time frame, and that'll be done. So then it kind of comes down to finishing up all the signs, the pavement markings, getting all the topsoil and grass seeded, making any repairs for things that were damaged along the way, sidewalk, a lot of those things. So yes, we've kind of went through the major portions of the project here prior to the 4th of July, which is really exciting.
One of the cool, and I think surprises of this project is the pedestrian tunnel that goes under 94 between Jackson Crossing and the hotels.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes, that we've actually, since I talked to you last, we've been pouring the sidewalk that connects to that, and should be nearly complete here probably by the 4th of July also. So I think that's something I'll aim for, to have some good pictures for next time I come back and talk. We'll have some pictures of that.
Well, that'd be awesome. And really for the people staying in the hotels and for the Jackson Crossing, what a great way to connect, because by car, it's, for someone that's not from here, as everyone knows, it's impossible. But even if you're trying to walk, you can't walk. There's no sidewalks.
Right.
So it's almost necessary, really.
Yeah, and before the project, if people remember, there was kind of a path worn in the grass that would come from the south side of I-94 there near Best Buy and the mall there, and that would a path worn to the hotel areas right there. So there was a demand to have some kind of facility there.
Yeah, that'll be neat, because we're getting more restaurants at the Jackson Crossing, and yeah, that'll be great. All right, now there's more construction for, it never stops. And we don't want it to, because we want everything to be great. You've got another project coming up in the city of Jackson. Next year, maybe?
Towards the end of next year.
Okay.
Yep, towards the end of next year. But it's kind of 2 bridges in the downtown Jackson area that we want to have some information available to folks to provide comments and feedback. We've been working with the city of Jackson on some non-motorized needs across the bridges. But if you can see on the screen there, one of those bridges is on Cooper or Old Airline Drive. That's kind of between, we talked about earlier, between Dallenberger and the train station. That's a complete replacement of that bridge. That bridge is on another one of these bridges that's 80 to 100 years old, that needs to be rebuilt. And then the other bridge is on Louis Glick over near Mechanic Street, kind of by Grand River Brewery over there. And that bridge we actually don't have to shut down completely. We'll be maintaining one direction over that bridge for the entire part of the project. But the Cooper Street Bridge / Airline Drive there, we'll need to close that down completely. We'll detour traffic onto Washington Ave and around downtown and whatnot.
Yeah, so that railroad, the one on the right, the pink dot, there used to be like a bar that sat on the riverbank. I don't know if the building's still there anymore. But you would look, it's like just east of the one of the parking structures, and then the pink circle on the left on Glick, you might not even think there is a bridge there. It's not apparent.
It's a short little bridge, and kind of the river is actually very narrow there. Both these bridges are crossing over the Grand River. That one's near the kind of that outdoor city market shelter that's over there that has been used for farmers market and stuff. But as you can see, we're having a public open house at our office over on West Michigan Avenue, over by M60. I believe it's like 4 to 6:30 is that public meeting. We really encourage people to come out and provide feedback and their ideas, thoughts, concerns, and to help us design it as best we can. We'll have a bunch of staff there to answer questions about the project.
Nice. And again, you mentioned there's no pedestrian path, particularly on the Cooper Bridge right now. So that's
part of our project plans right now, is to add some non-motorized facilities to that bridge.
great. All right. Wow, a lot going on.
Always.
Well, thanks for all the updates.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. And as summer driving season is here, keep in mind these workers, slow down, keep them safe. I hope the projects work out with everyone safe and deadlines met, and it'll be great when it's done.
I agree. Everybody drive with patience. We had a real a fatality up in our work zones up in Lansing, which is a real tragedy.
Yeah.
Last week, that one of the contractor's workers was actually involved, hit by a motorist.
Oh, wow.
You know, something where people just need to slow down, pay attention, and you know, drive like your family. Works out there.
Yeah, it's good advice. Good way to look at it. Jackson TSC manager from Michigan Department of Transportation, Kelby Wallace. Up next on